Ah, we off.
Perché mi sono buttata poi tu sei older.
You free yourself. Get inside the boat.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. How are you all doing?
All good.
Good. Good. My name is Will. I will be your shaft claims engine room for the next 45 minutes or so as we go up and down the River Cam. We're going to go about 1.5 kilometres upstream, spin and then come back down. So you'll see everything twice, and the punts never really get above walking speed, so you'll have plenty of time to take everything in. Now, as we go, if you have any questions, do please just shout out. It'd be great to hear from you. Do feel free just to interrupt me, that's fine. And if you can't hear me or would like me to say something again, just let me know. No problem at all. We'll go past 7 colleges as we go. Colleges are kind of like boarding houses, so they're where students will socialise, where they have their bedrooms, where they take their meals. They don't do any of the actual studying on college though. That's all done at what's called a faculty. So about a 10-minute walk from where we are at the moment. They don't look too nice, so thankfully we won't see any of them today.
There is normal residential housing?
Yes, normal residential houses.
Wow.
So 2 or 3 beds, although they are extortionate for what they are.
Very nice. No, private housing.
They're private house.
Yes. Are you a student here?
Not here in Cambridge, unfortunately. No, so I grew up here in Cambridge, but I study in a place called Durham,
Durham.
in Newcastle, where they filmed Harry Potter. That's where I go to university.
Do you know what the building is there?
Yeah, so this is part of Magdalen. The building, they're one of their libraries.
Okay.
So it's all of Magdalen. All of the side here on the right is part of Magdalen College. So there's a bit of a wall in the way, but that'll dip down in a sec, and you'll be able to see their dining hall.
Non mi fanno entrare gli altri. Cioè, nel senso. So we're coming through Quayside at the moment. This is the hub of Cambridge Punting, as it were. And we just get round the corner here. If you look to my right, you'll be able to see the dining hall of Magdalen College, with all the greenery and the flowers on the outside. Now, do you guys know the name of the river that we're on? There you go. So, really tough on this one. The name of the bridge? Cambridge.
There you go. Yeah. Really intelligent people here in the city.
Yes, we are.
So this is the Cam Bridge, where they built the first bridge over the river. This one isn't quite as old as that, it's only about 50 years old. But the original was 1700 years ago, built by the Romans on this same site. Also, where they used to have the witch trials in Cambridge. Just like Monty Python's Holy Grail.
That's it.
Traffic here.
Now this is the deepest part of the river, gets about 4 metres here. This is the old Viking port of the city. I'm sure you guys will be expecting lovely old Gothic architecture when visiting Cambridge. Nothing quite like what's appearing on my right hand side. Don't worry, not the worst we'll see today. Just wait until we get to Queen's.
Based across the city.
So heading on into our next college, this is St John's. They've got both sides of the river here. They date back to 1511. They're founded by Lady Margaret Beaufort, who was the great aunt of Henry VIII. Behind the willow tree on my right, this is what is known as Crypt Court. It's home to the first years at St John's. Now, it was opened, as I'm sure you can imagine, in the 1960s by the then Prince Charles, who is not the biggest fan of modern architecture, called this the multi-storey car park. Almost familiar. Now, if you live inside, it's quite nice. Only the room's pretty big and warm. But out your bedroom window, you have a view to New Court. This one with all the ivy across the back wall. New Court is lovely. It's where the third years live. It's built back in the 1830s. Now, you'll see that the ivy is mostly green, but starting to turn red. If you came back in just a couple of weeks, the entire thing will be completely scarlet. It's amazing to see.
Nice. So what's the name again?
New Court. It's part of St John's College.
Oh, impressive.
And straight ahead is the Bridge of Sighs. Bridge of Sighs. So, have any of you seen the Bridge of Sighs in Venice before?
Oh yeah.
So, does it look at all similar, madam?
No.
Oh, the one in Oxford. Oh, very good. So there's 4. There's one in Oxford, one in Venice, and one in Las Vegas. I know, there's got to be. Now, the one in Venice is the original, and it's got its name because you'd walk from one side to the other on the way to your execution from the courthouse to the prison. And you would let out a sigh of disappointment as you walk across. In St John's, it's pretty much the same. You would traditionally sit your exams on the left and receive your grades on the right. So an execution of
engineering students.
There you go. And now just ahead, you'll see our next bridge on the tour. This is called Kitchen Bridge. As the kitchens are just on the left-hand side. If any of you have watched the film Theory of Everything, about the life of Stephen Hawking, you may recognise this bridge, as they filmed a lot of the film here at St John's, although Stephen didn't actually study at John's. He was at Trinity Hall. When we get there in about 5 minutes, you'll realise why they filmed here. Now, the other name for this is Concussion Bridge. You'll probably see why.
You can see why.
Now, I did ask my boss about a hard hat, and told my skull was thick enough to not be
Nobody went down to go to shout.
And if you look back over my right shoulder, you'll have a view back towards the front of New Court at St John's. So you saw the back of this earlier. Now the front. Just a little bit nicer than my own university college, but I'm not at all jealous.
Gorgeous.
Deliveroo.
Oh, I hope so. It's not quite delivery, but there is a Pim's pub further upriver as well. Yeah. Now the buildings here on the left, this is Trinity College. It's founded in 1546 by Henry VIII. The building you can see is the Wren Library. It's built in the 1630s by Christopher Wren. He also did St Paul's Cathedral in London, so you can probably see which one he put more effort into. Now, in the library you have some original copies of Shakespeare's plays, writings of Isaac Newton, even the first ever drawings of Winnie the Pooh, as this is where Christopher Robin went to university. But of course, not all big famous academics. This is also where our current king went to university. So Charles was here back in the 1970s. But it should be said, wasn't his first choice of uni. Had previously been rejected from Oxford. Turned out 2 C's and a D weren't quite good enough for that. So Mummy made a few phone calls and he arrived here just about okay. Now, no students allowed their own car, so most of them will bring their bicycles. Charles, no car, didn't bring a bicycle, brought his helicopter, landing on the field to the right, was given 21 rooms and had a degree made specially for him. So he sat archaeology and anthropology, which was very useful for becoming a king. Now, despite being the only person to have ever studied this at Cambridge, still couldn't quite manage a third. In the end, he got a Desmond, or a 2-2, a lower second class.
How deep's the water?
Before we do this as a walking tour, it's pretty shallow. So, around shoulder height.
So for you, you're proud. Just so you know.
It's got quite a soggy bottom, very muddy. Not the best way to walk.
Remember the lady, remember the lifeguard. So just ahead, this is the Garrett Hostel Bridge, the left of which is Trinity Hall. So this is where they should have been filming Theory of Everything. See why it's not as aesthetically pleasing as Kitchen Bridge. Trinity Hall, these red bricks on the left, are one of the oldest colleges on the river, dating back to 1350. And they're founded during the Black Death to train up the next generation of English lawyers. Well, Stephen Hawking rocked up a while ago, having graduated from the other university down in Oxford, but did his PhD here at Trinity Hall and then became a professor at Gondolin Quays College, which is literally just 200 metres further up the street. Now, whilst he was here at Trinity Hall, but he's quite a keen cox. So cox, they're the guys who sit in the rowing boats. They do the steering, but none of the actual rowing themselves. It's before Stephen ended up in a wheelchair. But he was so bad as a cox that he earned himself the title of the only man to have ever been banned from coxing on the River Cam.
Don't they just shout? Just tell them what to do.
Essentially, yeah. Row harder.
Can't be that hard.
You would have thought. What a strange guy. Apparently his first wife divorced him on grounds that he thought he was God. Anyway, this college is a slightly nicer graduate. So we're right into Clare. Trinity and Clare are both quite small. And David Attenborough, he studied here a while ago. He even had his 90th birthday party in the garden just on the right hand side. So this is all Clare College Gardens, absolutely beautiful. Somewhere in there's a banana tree, or there's only produced fruit just the once. And that woman here in Cambridge. And I'll see a refurbished cafe and the rest of Clare just on the left. An old Georgian building needs a lot of refurbishment, hence the scaffolding. The bridge in front of us though needs to be more careful about this one. It's the oldest bridge on the river, dating back about 400 years. So you need to be quite careful not to bump into it. This is the most famous bit of the river, as on the left is King's College, so you would see the chapel. King's, founded by Henry VI, 1441, started building the chapel shortly later, but it wouldn't be until the 1530s that it was completed, under the reign of his very distant French cousin, Henry VIII. Second largest chapel in the world behind the Sistine. Each year on Christmas Eve you have the 9 lessons in carols recorded there. You can go have a look around, but you do need to pay to get in. It's nice to see inside. Now you'll see that there's this big white building next door to the chapel. This is the Gibbs building. It's where Benjamin Franklin used to live when he was a student here. Now, no secret, Benjamin didn't like England, so moved across to the American colonies, became the President of the United States, missed his university accommodation so much, he built his own version. So any ideas what this building inspired? The White House? Yes.
Really?
Yes, it's great. This is the Pimm's Pond just on the left. We'll see it on the way back down if you guys want to see any more drinks. That's a good way to put it. £10 for a Pimm's, I think.
Very sorry, sir.
That's all good. I'll probably just give you a bit of a tap.
They clearly started it.
Oh, I don't.
There you go.
Did you look for my brother now? I need to pull him up. And I pushed to the left.
You've never been on the dodge, have you? The idea is not going to win.
I know. Punting does end up a bit like bumper cars.
I mean, you've all got war stats, so at this point it's got to be a battle.
That's a way to put it. You know, if the guy on the boat isn't laughing at my jokes, off it is.
To meet them from the boat.
It's not too bad. Firing just left and right.
Who's going to argue him?
Oh, or just maple over there, can you? I like that trim. Yeah, just wait until you return back. Look gorgeous.
So this is still King's College that we're in at the moment. The buildings to the left are called Bodley's Court. This is where Alan Turing used to live when he was a student here. The guy who went on to create the Enigma code during World War II. A little bit tedious, but will make sense in a second. Yeah, you've got to watch out for the bridge. Anyway,
And they're driving themselves.
no, he is having a
yeah.
punting lesson. It seems.
Yes. Training.
Showing them how to do it. Anyway, you see how the building is kind of split into two halves. So the bit on the left is the original, done in the 1890s. Tried really hard to make it look as old as possible. They extended it in 1955. That's the lighter side on the right. Tried really hard to get it to fit into its surroundings, and fit into that vibe of old architecture here in Cambridge. 3 years later, Queen's College, they built their own accommodation block. They didn't try quite as hard. You can see that just ran on the left-hand side now.
I mean, all at all.
It is pretty good. It looks even worse without the scaffolding. So this was built in 1958, aimed to second years of Queen's. And it's no surprise that it turned out so bad, as his architect didn't go to a very good university. You see, just a handful of years before, graduated from Oxford. It's a surprise they even let him build the thing.
Got his mate Dave to do it.
So, or maybe his 3-year-old.
Yes. Just roll me a picture of a bill.
Yeah. Very bad.
That group's put like the Monty Python started out.
I know, Queen's doesn't do justice to itself. And you see they're going to continue the theme on the right here. But I assume we're a little bit ashamed of what they created, so planted the trees to block the view. So this is Queen's is where Sacha Baron Cohen went to university.
Di università? Sì, cosa preso pure.
And you'll see on the left-hand side this little building. This is President's Lodge. It's essentially where the headmistress gets to live. You'll see it's quite a dark house, as the windows are all very small and most of them have been bricked up. Now that's because at the time of building, 600 years ago, making it the oldest building on the river, Henry VII had placed England under the window tax. So you were taxed on the size of your window. One might call this daylight robbery today.
Yeah, just with the young children on the boat, man. Don't want any extras. Sweet, mate.
This is us coming under Mathematical Bridge. This dates back to 1789. It was built by students of Isaac Newton's, a man called William Etheridge. He used a method called tangential radial trussing. It's designed, essentially imagine a circle underneath with the tangents, which are these beams of wood, the really long ones that run almost side to side along the circumference, and the radians, shorter ones running from the handrail down towards the centre. What this results in is a bridge that is currently very weak, as there's no load on top. So you compress the beams of wood together. People stand on the top of the bridge gets stronger, as there's more pressure to compress the beams of wood.
We are going to be having a collision. Yes.
Quella è rimasta bloccata.
Actually, by the time it's daylight, you literally had to take a day off. So the break we've gone through now, this is called the map.
They still look small and miserable. Yeah.
Tell some people are more experienced than others.
I know. Did you love a self-wiper? Add some excitement to the
You
game.
can see it in the radiance of everybody that goes past them.
I know, we feel bad for people, but it's always a good tool when you see someone fall in. We could. Need some persuasion. I know. I think she might do it for us. Now, as we go back past the Erasmus building, actually quite fitting and so ugly, as Erasmus, the guy it's named after, not a big fan of Cambridge. He taught here for just 2 years and gave 3 reasons for leaving so quickly. First was the weather, said it rained far too much. The second was the wine, which he claimed tasted like vinegar. The third, I should say these are his words, not mine, because he said the ladies of the town looked like horses. So probably chased him out, but I don't think they thought much of him either.
I didn't realise you meant my
Here at King's called the Gentleman's Degree. For a bit of context, Henry VI, before founding King's, founded Eton College in London. So there's a well-trodden path from Eton to do this Gentleman's Degree here at King's. Now, 3 years long, no exams, no lectures, just one bi-weekly seminar, essentially to make sure you hadn't died of alcohol poisoning. Sadly, this degree is no longer. Despite this very upper class heritage, King's is now the most left wing of the colleges and has a communist flag in their student bar. So quite a change. Now if you look back towards the chapel, you'll see the 2 tallest turrets. Now if you go from the top down about 10 metres, you should see that there are some lighter coloured spikes that have been attached around the sides. You guys all see those spikes? Fantastic. Any ideas what they're there for?
Pigeons?
Bit bigger than you say people?
Pigeons.
Not pigeons. Ooh. Cambridge is a pretty mythical place. No, this is actually the Mount Everest of Cambridge night climbing. So students will climb this at night without the use of any ropes or harnesses. They've been doing so since 1750, and they like to leave little presents on top for the college chaplain. So during Christmas you might find a Santa hat or a Christmas tree on the roof. At other points in the year there'll be a banner, whatever social cause has taken the students' fancy. But the most famous one, back in the 1970s, was a traffic cone. As you can imagine, the chaplain was not best pleased with this, so he called in some scaffolders to come take it down. They came in, they put their scaffolding up. The rain then came down, so the scaffolders went home, leaving this traffic cone on the roof. They came back in the next day, and their scaffolding was where they'd left it. The traffic cone, that was now the other end of the chapel. And this went back and forth for quite a while. Eventually they did get it back down. Night climbing has continued to be very popular amongst the students here in Cambridge. How do you mean? I'm off again tomorrow. Are you done in London? London? Yeah. Yeah. It's a mate from uni. It's quite funny. He's one of three brothers. All of them, of course, went to Eton. All of them then went to Durham. All of them crossed on the river. Well, but he's just finishing up an internship down in London, so he should be okay. So we're coming back through Trinity College now. Isaac Newton, student and a professor here. His students would write about him that he was so boring, he'd often lecture to himself in an empty theatre, as all the students had gone home. But when he discovered things like gravity are quite helpful to have around the place. Now, one of those experiments he did was to split light into the colours of the rainbow. This would be referenced on his gravestone. And nature and nature's laws were laid in darkness. God said, "Let there be Newton, and all will be light." It was also referenced on the album cover for Dark Side of the Moon, done by the Cambridge band Pink Floyd, who all grew up here in the city. Now, you can go visit the pub where they first played together. This is the Anchor, just a bit further upriver, near where we span. They play there each Friday night in their school. Now, my own rather shoddy claim to fame. So I was in the same school as Dave Gilmour, the lead singer. He hated it there, so wrote the song "Another Brick in the Wall" about the school. So you can imagine what we played in our last days there. Trinity are also ridiculously rich. With compound interest over 500 years makes a good bit of difference. But they're also one of the largest landowners in the country. So it's said that you can walk all the way to Oxford and back without stepping foot off Trinity College land. They also own the lease to the O2 Stadium in London, and apparently most of the port of Harwich. Rather strange thing. But they're worth around £2 billion at the moment. And with such wealth, they're incredibly generous. And they make the rent very cheap for their students during term time. So about 6.5k for the whole year will get you rent, foods, and any bills or cleaning associated with them. It's very cheap. Of course, fees are exactly the same as anywhere else. The accommodation is pretty good.
On my left-hand side is another college.
Indovina.
Quello lì.
No, da lei. Cosa fate?
Non ho capito che
That's a Newport St John's on the right, which is beautiful.
There can't be somebody else here. I'm the only one to be in this building. That's how I learned about that.
So back into St John's. Is it fresh and pot?
L'albero di Natale.
Not too bad, but somewhere around here.
So coming back through to Quaysides, now just over on the left you've got the big green building. It's what we call the pickerel or the pick, as us pushers affecting a good place to go for a bite to eat. So you'll find the punters in the evening spending their tips. There's also a favourite, well, was a favourite, of C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien. So Lewis was a professor of medieval and Renaissance studies, just on the left of Magdalen College. Tolkien, he taught at the other place down in Oxford, and would often come up on the weekends to see his good mates. Spent a lot of time in the pub there. You can go inside and see there's a plaque dedicated
I
to
can
him.
drag it if you can.
Che? Sì. Beh, che cosa ho saputo? Guarda. 50 la bottiglia.
Is your arms get tired?
A little bit. I wake up in the morning and they're just get heavy. But I find it wrecks your shoulders and elbows. Because it's a bit of an awkward angle that you push up.
How old are you?
21?
Yeah, you're still later on in that.
I know. See bits here. I think the key is to, well, get as heavy as you can. Because it's more about how you lean on the pole rather than push it away.
Yeah. In that case, then I'll do alright.
It's all leverage. There is a yearly punting race to find the fastest pusher on the river. And the guy in front, that's Ryan, one of his best mates won it last year. Won a golden waistcoat and then spent the next 2 days sat on quayside in just his waistcoat showing it off.
What have you got left?
Yeah. Now, before we come to the end of our tour today, are there any final questions? If not, don't worry, no one's jumped off, which is normally a good sign. But I do hope you guys all enjoyed the tour today. It's a pleasure having each of you. We'll just find ourselves a parking spot. You guys will be free to be on your way.
Where's that garlic bread smell coming from?
Oh, I know, it's doing my head in.
You've all wet.
I hope
Okay, just got off the boat. I'm glad I did the ride. That was very interesting, very scenic. And yeah, well worth the £20.
They won't get in, so they must be doing something.
And it's official. I really think Cambridge is much better than Oxford. No. Mainly because of the river. You don't have the river in Oxford, I don't think. So definitely. The river made it so much nicer.
Late signing paperwork though.
Oh my God, it's a big crowd now.
Yeah. No, she's really good. Yeah, Rebecca.
So that's it for this part of the video. Make sure you like, share and subscribe. And there'll be a second part, the walking around all the colleges, or as many as we can do, all the colleges of Cambridge. So, see you in the next video.